Okay, here in the PornCrush studio today, we are joined by Millie Morgan, who is creating quite a buzz after just 3 or 4 months in the industry. Millie started in March and is already doing some high-end shoots with some A-list performers. And this is the first edition, Porn Crush fans, of Ready to Bust, which is kind of a weekly or every other week series we're going to be doing, highlighting new performers that we think are really on the cusp of greatness. And Millie is our inaugural guest. So welcome in, Millie. And start us off by just telling us a little bit about your background, kind of where you grew up and fun stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Alabama in the
Hmm.
very deep South. I
Yes.
moved to Southern California when I was a teenager. Southern California is always where I felt like I belonged. So I
Hmm.
really felt a sense of home once I moved here. I didn't really feel like I like I fit in when I lived in the deep South.
Hmm.
So that was pretty definitive for me moving out here. And then it
Right.
was like, what? That was my life goal. So it was kind of like, what do I do now?
Right. Right. What are some different, like, how does the South differ from California? I live in Texas, but I'll let you answer the question. Like, where are some differences that you see?
It's endless. I mean, just in terms of like, goodness gracious. I mean, well, there's churches on every corner there. There's really great sweet tea. I
Hmm.
think there's a lot of epic like biodiversity in the deep south, which is
Right.
really gorgeous. Like I love all the French and the Spanish influence there,
Hmm.
how they're like intertwined. I'm a little bit of a history nerd, so I think all of that aspect of things is really interesting.
Hmm.
But I mean, like, you can't really compare the two because they're two entirely different worlds.
Right. Right. So you get out to California, I guess, is in your teens. At that point in your life, what are you thinking you're going to do when you grow up? What were your goals and aspirations at that point in your life, or hobbies, or interests, or passions?
Yeah, I had always seen myself working in some sort of like unconventional career path.
Mhm.
Like when I was younger, I had visions of myself being like a blackjack dealer or like a bartender or like maybe I just read too much Huck Finn, but like working on like a riverboat or something
Right.
like that. So I think that this kind of fulfills that for me in a certain kind of way.
Right.
And one of my first jobs was at an old folks home.
Mm.
So I spent a lot of time just observing people at the end of their life. And it was pretty obvious the people who had felt very fulfilled with the choices that they had made and the
Mm.
people who were just kind of like running time on the clock.
Right.
And I wanted to be one of those people who felt fulfilled. Um, and that just meant
Yeah.
following the fun no matter what that means.
You could sense the people that had a happy life and people that maybe had regrets in life, kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it spoke for itself, in terms of like, just in terms of demeanor and family. Like it really enforced a lot of the choices I think that I would make for myself, like moving in adulthood. This barometer of like, how will my end of days be, and like, would I want to be
Yeah.
stand up and say I've done this, or that I spent my time with this person at the end of my days.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because you do seem to have a real upbeat, positive vibe to you. I'm sure a lot of that was kind of formed in those years.
Yeah, yeah. Living with seeing so much death and darkness, it kind of like teaches you to like just take every day for what it's worth and like live it to the fullest.
Absolutely. Moving forward, were there signs, maybe in your late teens, that maybe sex work or the adult industry would be something in your future?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. When I thought about it for a long time before I wanted to do it.
Hmm.
I studied acting in college. I actually have a degree in theater. Um, and I stopped acting because I'm just too sensitive for the whole audition process.
Hmm.
I had told myself that if I was ever to start acting again someday, people would just pick me for the roles. They would just know who I am and want me. And there's really no other industry besides porn where that's the way that things function. So for me to be able to be on set every day is like a blessing because it feels for me like I'm living my dream.
Right.
So, and yeah, in terms of like signs, there's definitely signs. Like I always got in trouble for flirting when I wasn't flirting.
Hmm.
I had to make great efforts because it was known that I was not trying to flirt, and people would make eyes at me in terms of this. I just have to be very quiet.
How would you get in trouble for flirting, like in class or something, or Just
So I worked for an arts education nonprofit for a time where we worked in maximum security men's prisons.
mm,
So some of my last acting jobs before porn were reading scripts in men's prisons.
well,
Um,
do a whole story about
and
that. But yeah.
yeah, so but making sure that it didn't appear like I was trying to flirt with anyone or lead anyone on just because I make eye contact,
Hmm.
and am empathetic and approachable and genuinely interested in what someone has to say. Those things can easily become misconstrued.
I see.
Um, so that was
Yeah.
something I had to
Okay.
take great pains and care about.
How, moving forward, how did you end up in the adult industry? What happened? Did you just start dabbling in OnlyFans or camming or like so many others? What's the story
Yeah.
behind that?
Yeah, so my anniversary on OnlyFans and Chatterbait is actually this week. It'll be 3 years, which
Oh
is
wow.
really crazy and exciting. I was single and I really needed an outlet for my sexual frustrations. It was during the pandemic, and I was really just kind of like holed up and horny.
Hmm.
And so that's how I started camming. And then I became interested in doing like mainstream studio work. Also, about a year ago, I started sending emails. It'd be really funny to dig some of those up of me
Hmm.
desperately trying to email directors and studios saying, "Please put me on a set."
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I was at a collab with Sean Alford, Robbie Echo,
Hmm.
and they were filming a porn dude casting couch scene on site, and I was like, "What? Sex with a mascot? Like that's so fucking fun! Like how do I get involved with that?"
Right.
Because I was the high school mascot back in the day.
Is that right?
So for me, it felt like a full circle moment
Yeah.
to be able to have my first porn scene be with a mascot head. And so yeah, I was like, what? I gotta see this. Even though I'd already seen it online, it was really fun to see
Yeah.
in person. And then yeah, that's how I got my first scene.
Donnie Rock, aka the porn dude, was your first scene. I didn't realize that. Your first
I mean,
mainstream scene.
isn't that supposed to be a secret?
Oh, I didn't know, but
I'm
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm like, don't out him. I don't think you're supposed to say.
Oh no, people know.
But
That's all right.
yeah.
He, I'll let him deal with that. But you were a high school mascot. Tell me about that real quick. I did. That's kind of a something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, little offbeat. I just thought it was fun. I thought it would be funny. It was just kind of like I've my whole life just kind of been doing things for the bit, just like, oh, that seems like a fun thing to do. So I got to like go to cheer camp
Yeah,
for that, which was humorous. Me trying to keep up with the cheerleaders, they are freaking athletes.
absolutely.
I had a very like spirited school, so at football games, if there was guys that I thought were like jerks or assholes to girls, I would emasculate them a little bit
Hmm.
sometimes by like cornering them in the mascot suit or like sitting on them, which maybe is like in this day and age a little bit inappropriate. But they'd never fuck with the mascot, and so that was my way of kind of like giving the little finger at the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Apologies to those guys now,
Wow.
but
That's wanted to backtrack to before we get into the adult industry. I know that when you were initially doing your OnlyFans and ChatterBait, that was during the pandemic. And tell us about where you were living and what your life was like at that time.
yeah, I mean, I was in Southern California. Everything was kind of closed down though, so I'd been inside for forever.
Hmm.
I was newly single at the start of the pandemic, so that was like a really tricky time to try to figure out, how to gain some sort of like connection or, romantic and emotional fulfillment in this time of like distancing.
Hmm.
So I think it made a lot of sense that I would kind of start reaching out on a broader scale because certainly the guys that I was meeting on dating apps like weren't weren't it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Did you move? I mean, did you move to the Joshua Tree? I mean, I don't know if that's something you.
yeah, I moved to Joshua Tree after I started webcamming and doing OnlyFans, um, just because I thought it would be a fun adventure. Once I was working remotely and I had quit the office job I was doing, I figured I could work anywhere. So why not go somewhere really cheap and a little offbeat?
Right.
Um, and also, I kind of liked the idea of like just dropping out, dropping off the grid,
Yeah, yeah.
which was fun to play into for a little bit. But I definitely am so grateful to have trash service now. I don't miss taking my
Trash
trash to the
service.
dump at all.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you grew a lot though during that kind of little bit of solitude, and like so many other people, I think people kind of refocused
Oh yeah.
and rethought life a little bit during that time, and I'm sure you especially did it out in that area. Yeah,
Yeah, people in the desert are built different. Like they are a tough breed of people. So much respect.
yeah, yeah. When you finally start doing mainstream shoots, were there nerves at first? Do you feel like you adapted pretty quickly? Kind of tell us about those initial first couple of weeks, I guess.
I think that overall it was super organic. I think that like I have a sort of frenetic energy from my excitement of like wanting to be involved for so
Hmm.
long, and every time I'm on set, I'm just really, really grateful to be there.
Hmm.
So I think that like a certain amount of nerves, yeah, to be expected, but for the most part, no. I just felt like I'm like this is what I'm supposed to be
Yeah,
doing. This is what I should have been doing all along. So like finally,
absolutely. Now, are you someone that I got? I think you've had about 20 scenes released or shot, maybe a little bit more than that at this point. Are you someone that goes and waits for them to drop and watches them and critiques yourself, or what's your approach there?
Yeah. Yeah, I love to watch my own scenes. I think it's so much fun. And I'm definitely always learning and growing. So yeah, you better believe I'm watching and taking notes.
Right. Where are some things that you've seen that you want to improve on, or just little things that you've learned that make a good scene or a good angle or whatever?
Well, I think that like sometimes, when the dick is good, the dick you have to think, keep in mind that like I'm having sex with
Yeah.
professionals. So like sometimes the dick is really good and like I'm forgetting that there's a camera there. Like it's like you gotta open up, girly. I think for the most part I'm pretty good about being mindful of the camera, especially when we've gone over positions and I'm not just kind of like,
Mhm.
improving everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sometimes the dick just be too
Yeah,
good.
you're working with some ringers. I can see how you can get lost in the moment and forget to look a certain way or open up a certain way. But
Can you blame
um,
me? Can you blame me?
I've heard so much buzz about you, Millie, and you made such a good impression on camera, but also off camera. I think a lot of people have been real impressed with the way you kind of carry yourself on set and even away from it. What are some little things you've learned about all the other things that go in to be at a porn star besides just being good on camera?
I think just like having a happy, positive, excited demeanor
Hmm.
really goes a long way. Um, just because it's exciting for me to be
Hmm.
there, and I never want to lose that excitement. I know that I'm still new, and so certain things will hopefully I will become routine. Hopefully someday I'll be in a position to be able to take things for granted, but I never want to.
Right.
And so I think that maintaining that attitude and that, excitement and just like enthusiasm to learn and try things is really
Yeah,
important.
sure. Mike Quasar is a director that's so well respected in the business, such a character too. And you're someone he's really thrown a lot of praise your way lately on the internet and in conversations. What's it like to work for him? What do you like about working for Mike Quasar?
I love that Mike has got this like no bullshit attitude.
Hmm.
And he's very, very kind, while he's also just very straightforward about, you know, executing his vision. And I love his sense of humor.
Yeah,
So we get
he's
along pretty
funny.
well.
Well, moving forward, what type of goals have you set for yourself? Do you make lists of things you want to accomplish? Do you take it day by day? How do you kind of approach your future now as you're entrenched?
I mean, I just want to be able to try as many roles and, embody as many characters as possible. I'm just so grateful for every opportunity I have to be on set. And so, like, I don't know, because I'm like I'm very proud of what I've done, but I'm also just very hungry for more. So I think that that's where I'm at and what I'm striving towards. I'm just like, put me in,
Right.
coach. Like I will show up on time and I will be clean and I will be memorized. Like just let me
Yes.
in.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, this has been a great conversation. Last thing I wanted to do is just do a little segment we're going to call Quick Pops here on Ready to Buzz. Just some kind of quick hitter questions. Um, about you and your personality and your sexual preferences, that kind of stuff. But just to start off for quick pops, what's your biggest turn on in a guy?
I think good style and clean hygiene.
Okay.
Those go a long
Yeah. What
way.
about turn off? Anything a guy can do to just make you write him off really quickly?
Arrogance.
Arrogance. Yeah. You can see
Hmm.
that in the way they carry themselves or talk or what's
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a bit about a certain kind of like attitude that it's not attractive to
yeah.
me.
When you're having sex, whether it's in a scene or in your personal life, what's your biggest turn on? Is there something that really kind of puts you over the edge and helps you orgasm?
I love having my titties sucked on, like very roughly, but recently I've discovered that because I don't squirt very often with a
Hmm.
partner. However, if you shove a cock very, 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 very deep down my
Hmm.
throat, I can squirt from that.
Wow.
So that was
Even
really
if like
exciting
you're not being
discovery. Yeah.
penetrated at the time, or it'll just happen.
I mean, like it was like there was some fingering action going on both times, but like I'm pretty sure that like the cock and the throat was really like the key that unlocked the
Yeah.
watershed.
Watershed. What about positions? Do you have a position that you feel like you always want to make sure you get in during a scene? A position you like the most?
Hmm. I don't think it happens a lot in scenes, but my favorite like personal position is spoon because I love like lazy, intimate, like deep
Hmm.
penetration,
You
you
like
know?
the sensual, slow, intimate stuff. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like morning sex with some spoon, like just roll over and fuck me, like yes,
Nice.
please.
What's the strangest or maybe riskiest place you've ever had sex?
Public park in broad
Oh
daylight.
wow, in the car? Oh no, I said in the car. You're out in the park, like by a tree and on
In
a
the
bench.
park,
Set the scene for me.
just in the grass, wearing a very long
Oh wow,
dress.
that's impressive. Impressive.
Yeah.
If you're gonna masturbate,
Mhm.
what type of porn are you gonna be watching, or maybe none at all? I don't know what. Do you have a routine? Or,
Sometimes, sometimes I'll watch like facial, like cum
Mhm.
compilations, but for the most part, I watch my own porn.
Nice. Okay.
I'm an empath, so like I'm most attracted to porn where like I can tell that someone's getting off.
Mhm.
So I'll find a video every now and again that I really enjoy of a performer where I'm like, oh yeah, they look like they're really enjoying that. But for the most part, like I know the sex that I've really enjoyed, so it's really fun
Yeah.
to just revisit that with my own content.
Well, this site is called PornCrush. And I know you've worked with some great people. There's probably still some people you want to work with. Is there anyone you're kind of crushing on, or someone you've got your eye on that you want to do a scene with soon?
There's
I
so
know, probably a long
many. There's so many. I think if I had to like name
one.
names, Small Hands, Joanna Angel, like they're so hot.
Yeah,
Alex Cole,
yeah,
she's such a lovely human. Like I love to work with
yeah.
them.
Alex Cole's one of the best girl performers in the business, in my opinion. She does a great job, and she's one of the nicest people too that you'll meet. So let's hope that happens.
She's so
What about when
sweet.
you go to set? Do you like, and you're taking? I don't know if you call it your suitcase or your duffel bag, or I don't know what the term is, but is there something in there that you've got to make sure that's there, or else if it's not, you're not right.
My tongue scraper.
Your tongue straight.
10,000%. Gotta have a clean tongue before you're sticking a dick on it.
I'm sure your performers appreciate that. What about away from set? What do you like to do in your free time when you can kind of unplug and just do your own thing?
I like to hang out and cuddle with my
Hmm.
dog. She sheds a lot, so I feel like my hobby is cleaning up after her. And I love to
Hmm.
read, and I love to go thrift shopping and find new clothes and props and accessories for
Right.
photo
Tell
shoots.
me a little bit more about your dog. German Shepherd. I think you had told me off.
Sasha, yeah, she's a German Shepherd mix. She just turned
Wow.
11. I adopted her when she was
Mhm.
9. She's a rescue. I don't know what trauma she went through the first 6 years or so of her life, but she's got some trauma, some scars. But she's a sweetie. She just likes to sleep and cuddle. She likes people.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't really know what to do with other dogs very well, but she means well, I
And a
think.
bigger dog. It's a big. She's a bigger dog too, right? Does she sleep right up on you in the bed, or?
Yeah. Well, she's scared of the air conditioning, so these summer months, no, she hasn't been sleeping in the bed. But I think in the wintertime she'll crawl back up in there with me. This is kind of her spot on the
Okay.
couch,
Yeah.
so we hang out together during the day whenever I
Is
can.
there a trait that you picked up in the South? I know it's been a while since you've lived in the South, but something that stuck with you even after 10, 15 years in California, whether it's an accent or a food or
I think I lost my accent within like six
yeah.
months of moving, so it's definitely not that. I think that I have very polite Southern
Mhm.
sensibilities. Um, I think that there's a different kind of I don't know. I think that just impacts your life in a certain kind of way when you're raised with the yes sir,
Mhm.
no sir kind of obedience. You know that certain habits kind of
Yeah,
die hard in terms of
that's
authority
that's
figures and things of
absolutely
that
correct.
matter.
Last thing, me and you share something in common. We are both cheeseburger fans. I've read that about you, and I was like, I got to ask her about her
Is that
love
a
for
first?
cheeseburgers. So tell me what's your go-to. I'm a Whataburger guy. Now you've been away from the South for a while, so you've probably steered away from that. Tell me what's your
In and out. In and out is bae. It's my shit. Grilled onions, no spread. That's my order. I don't fuck with sauce because I don't like the sog.
mhm.
We don't eat it. We don't eat it. If it's a
Yeah,
good burger, you
yeah. You
don't
don't
need
want
the
to put a bumper
sauce.
sticker on a BMW.
And I will die
Yeah,
on
it's
that
like putting a
hill.
bumper. That's like putting a
What?
bumper sticker on a BMW. You don't want to ruin that burger by throwing a bunch of sauces and stuff on
That's
it.
what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, just not everyone can apply it right. You know, like I
Did you just
try not to
say
trust
just
them.
the
I don't trust them with
cheeseburger and
dough.
onions and that's it?
No, you get
Okay.
the lettuce and
Yeah.
tomato,
Yeah.
but like no spread.
In and out's
No
tough to
spread.
beat. I'm not a fan of the fries, but I don't really care. I'll still eat them, but I usually get two double doubles and fries, and I'm good for about 24 hours after that.
See, if you renounce all other fries for In N Out fries, you forget how much
Yeah,
other fries
the
are
meat.
better. Because that's where I am at this point, to where it's like I know somewhere deep in the depths of my soul that the fries just aren't
Right.
good, but I've just like gaslit myself by eating them so many times
Yeah.
a week that like
If those are the only
I'll
fries you're
notice
eating,
eventually.
they're eventually going to become good. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my advice to anyone who complains about In-N-Out fries. Just give
I'm
up all the other
picturing you at
fries.
like 1
They
a.m. on a
taste amazing.
Friday evening or whatever, Saturday morning, sitting in an In and Out drive through line for like 30 minutes just to get your fix. I've done it.
Oh yeah. Oh, in terms of like my testing, I think I've got like low iron or something. So you better believe every 2 weeks, the night before I'm getting tested, like when I go into clear, they're like, "Did you have your In-N-Out last night?" And sometimes I'll be like, "Well, I got really busy last night. I don't know what I'm gonna do today." But like that burger is crucial.
Well, Millie, it sure has been great getting to know you a little bit, and I'm excited for all that's ahead for you. I know a lot of people are too. Again, the buzz has been so
Thank
positive so
you.
far. So let's catch back up again soon. But yeah,
Yes, please.
okay.
I'd love
Looking forward to
that.
meeting you in person. Thanks for taking some time for us tonight.